Have you ever heard of Bebo Russell?
No idea.
No.
Is that a fictitious person?
Yeah, they call him the Sky Thief. So Bebo worked baggage handling at an airport.
Oh, I remember this guy, the Sky King.
He played some video game simulators with planes, and occasionally he'd ask pilots, "What's that switch to?" or "What's this switch to?" One time they even caught him in the cockpit toggling around with the switches that he hadn't been told about before, and they reprimanded him. Well, turned out that Bebo was depressed, suicidal, like really kind of done with life. And so he stole a large passenger plane, took it out, and as they're like, "Hey, oh, you do not have clearance to move on the runway," or the blah, he just ignores them, takes it off perfectly, and then starts doing tricks in it that most experts say are beyond them and they would never attempt, especially not at those altitudes. This man has like a medium-sized passenger plane doing barrel rolls and loop-de-loops. There is a loop that he does where I'm gonna guess it looks like he's gonna crash. I'm like, oh, this is him dying, because he's like coming out of the loop and like he's losing so much altitude. He's right above the ground in this big plane, and he recovers it and takes it back up. And he's talking to them as like more calmly than I am right now. He's like, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna try to do a barrel roll, and if I make it through that, I think I'm just gonna put her down in that island over there. I really didn't think I'd make it this far, frankly." And he just sort of like gives his suicide letter right there. Yeah. He's like, "There's going to be a lot of family and friends that are going to be disappointed in me. I'm real sorry, but I guess I'm just a guy with a few screws loose, and I'm just done."
Yeah. Here's apparently some quotes, like some conversations between them.
They have the audio. Yeah, I've heard it.
"Just flying around the plane. You seem comfortable with that?" is the operator. "Oh, hell yeah. It's a blast. I've played video games before, so, I know what I'm doing a little bit." "Okay. And you can see all the terrain around you. You've got no issue with visibility or anything?" "Nah, everything's peachy clean. Just did a little circuit around Rainier. It's beautiful. I think I've got some gas to go check out the Olympics." "Damn it, Andrew. People's lives are at stake here." "Ah, Rich, don't say stuff like that." And that was another guy they're talking on the same thing. "I don't want to hurt no one. I just want you to whisper sweet nothings in my ear." They asked him, "Well, Rich, I already talked to him. Just like me, what we want to see is you not get hurt or get anyone else hurt. So if you want to try and land, that's the way to go." "Hey, I want the coordinates of that orca, the mama orca with the baby. I want to go see that guy."
What the fuck?
"Sorry, my mic came off. I threw up a little bit. Sorry about that. I hope it doesn't ruin your day." "Hey, do you think if I land this successfully, Alaska will give me a job as a pilot?" "I think they would give you a job doing anything if you could pull this off." "Yeah, right. Nah, I'm a white guy."
Oh, that's gold.
This guy.
The middle one of, "Sorry, my mic came off. I threw up a little bit. I'm sorry about this. I hope it doesn't ruin your day." It's so funny. He just, from his quotes, he seemed like a guy that just was having a blast flying around, wanting to have.
No, you don't get it. He doesn't have any future. Like that's his.
No, I know.
But he's having some fun there.
He's having some fun on his way out. Is what he was trying to do.
I wish we could show like the footage of him flying the plane, because it legitimately doesn't look real. Like what he's doing in that plane. He's doing like stunts in a passenger plane for the fun of it. And he's I had seen like this old footage of, I don't know, one of the big Boeing planes doing those maneuvers in Nevada, like when they were proving them. And it was a test pilot with a parachute, and he was at like high altitude doing these maneuvers. This kid has never been in a plane before, and he's doing them over a lake. Like the public is out watching. It's absurd. He's so
apparently he said he wanted to do it over the lake so that if he fucked up, no one would get hurt other than him.
Eventually, he put it down on a little. When I say put it down, he fucking crashed it nose first as fast as he could into the ground in an unpopulated area.
If he would have landed it successfully, like I feel like by this point, that was a few years ago now, like he would have been like doing Kimmel or something. Sure, stealing a plane. Actually, no, he'd be in fucking Guantanamo probably. He'd either be doing Kimmel if people thought it was funny and it was like a popular thing to meme on it, or if it was like, this guy's a domestic terrorist, then he'd be in.
If he got to be on TV in court, if they had like his court thing on TV, he would win over like everybody based on his personality there, right? Because he's very endearing.
He seems funny. He's all those nah shucks, sweet nothings, that kind of language.
I heard his voice. He's so chill. It's
I feel for him. Like he's
Of
clearly
course.
in pain. He committed
it's sad.
suicide. He didn't want to hurt anyone else. He did
Mhm.
steal some pretty expensive equipment, but
Good for him.
but
He's
yeah, I don't
fucking
know.
American on the way out.
yeah, I don't really like the airlines myself.
Yeah,
Delta's the best. I don't care what anybody says. Like
Delta.
I think
I
I'm
thought
biased.
you'd say Virgin. I thought you were.
Well, you're a Georgia guy, so of
I've
course
only been
Delta's
able
for
to
you.
fly.
Right.
So Virgin doesn't fly flights out of Atlanta, seemingly.
Mhm.
I don't know. They've rarely been an option in the past. I've only had one Virgin flight. That was really chill. Now that I think about it, that they had this like purplish, pink lighting in first class, and it was a nighttime flight from like Seattle down to LA or something. Like it's only like a 2.5 hour flight, but it was super chill. And I just remember Kitty and I are up in first class, and I'm in the window, and their first class is pretty nice. The seats recline, and then you still have like it's like you're in a recliner, and then you could get out of the recliner and stand and look back at the leg thing kicked up. There's still enough room to stand there. And this little Asian lady snuck up out of coach and like walks into that space. Like she's between us and the people in front of us. Like we're reclined. We're like curled up in blankets, like in our first class seats. It's nighttime. And she's like poking Kitty, hey, like waking her up and asking her how much the tickets up here cost.
How much your tickets cost? Like,
I refuse to help. I refuse to help or translate because Kitty wakes up and she's like, well, what's it all about? Oh, what is it want? Oh.
what does it want?
My precious.
Finally, the flight attendant showed up and shooed that little lady back to where she belonged in the back.
Yeah.
I like it when the flight attendants do that because it makes me feel special. I think this is Freudenberg. Like when you take pleasure from other people's pain. I may have that word messed up, but again, paramotors, I talked about it much tonight. There have been days where I launch and it's cloudy and it's yucky out, and the whole area, everyone in North Carolina is stuck in this shitty gray day. But there's a few holes in the clouds, and I go through those, and now I am in the sun. All you fucknards are having a shitty cloudy day, but I am up here above the clouds in the sun, and that somehow makes it nicer than if we were all in the sun.
I just
together.
imagine you like getting just low enough so that you can skip along the tops of the clouds, and like you're playing like I'm walking on sunshine.
Yeah, you could totally do that. Yeah, you can hang out way above the clouds and get a better view of them. You can just drag your feet in it. Clouds smell a certain way.
Let me ask you this. Maybe this is a stupid question. Is there ever any like instance where you would be worried about like getting sucked up in some sort of updraft and taken to like scary high altitudes?
Yes, but these are not those kind of clouds. Yeah, these are.
Have you ever been like adjacent to those kinds of clouds where it's like, oh, we better not go over there, or we could possibly get sucked up and like pass out from no oxygen?
People do. I haven't. Like when they warned
the
us
nightmare.
and taught us about cloud suck. It was like quicksand as a child. Like, careful of cloud suck. Careful, cloud suck is going to be a major problem in your free flying career. This is what cloud suck could look like. And there's these people at 32,000 feet freezing to death.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And meanwhile, when I actually free fly, like without a motor, I'm doing everything I can to scratch and just stay in the air. It's very hard to fly for more than an hour or so. And they act like I won't be able to get down. That's never happened.
Like that to me is very similar to being sucked out to sea, by the current, and like taken out to that nothingness where like, I don't know, you just can't really do anything. When they get sucked up to those high altitudes, they lose consciousness because it's so cold, and then they'll drop down enough so they wake up again and they're all icy and they're like, fuck, we got to fix this problem. But then they start going back up again and they pass out, and like, who knows how long that could happen for?
I've seen
die
horrific.
or fix the problem.
Oh yeah, Kyle, you wanted to talk about a couple people almost dying.
Oh my God. Like I said on PKN that despite all of these videos about people dying while hiking, mountaineering, canyoning, it makes me want to go do it because the reasons they're getting into trouble are always stupidity or like arrogance. Like there was one guy who liked to hike ultralight, and he just went off to a place where he couldn't survive and died basically because he was arrogant. There was a couple that thought they were taking a fucking shortcut in a blizzard and just drove off into a nature preserve because they couldn't tell they were on gravel instead of pavement because of the snow. Went 50 miles into the wilderness and got the truck stuck ended up losing all of their toes and barely getting out alive by the time they were done. Because
They both lost all their toes?
They both lost all their toes, husband and wife. They had the baby in like a sleeping bag, dragging it through the snow. And instead of turning around and going the way they had come in, which was 50 miles, they looked at the map and they were like, oh, we could just cut across the wilderness area and it's about 20. But that's mountains and rivers and shit.
Yeah.
And they're wearing like sweats because they didn't expect to go mountaineering that day. So like the woman, like she gives out a gas like 10 miles in. He has to put her in a cave, go back to the truck, and then go 50 miles to help. He lost all his
toes. Did the baby die?
The baby was fine. It was breastfeeding and staying in like, I don't know, 3 layers of shit. You know, it was going to live. In a situation like that, the baby will live as long as the mom will. But like they both lost all their toes. And in the interviews with them, they're just, the wife's like, oh, I didn't mind losing all my toes as long as little Jesse lived. And I was thinking like, I'd be so mad at that man who like had military service. And the whole trip was to go to like a second cousin's funeral or some shit.
Who
not
cares?
a necessary. Yeah. There was every single one of those stories starts that way. It's like, they shouldn't be there to begin with. There were these 3 old men who took some 15-year-old Boy Scouts into the Grand Canyon and got lost. And as each of the old men fails, like physically, they get left behind until it's just the boys climbing down a 200-foot sheer rock face to get to the Colorado River. One of the 3 boys dies of dehydration 100 yards from the river.
Oh,
Jesus
dehydration
Christ.
100 yards from the river?
They couldn't they couldn't hook him up? Like
he collapsed. They ran the rest of the distance, came back with water, and they got rescue services to him as soon because they ran into like kayakers when they got to the river. But they helicoptered in. It didn't matter. They were like, "Sorry, your friend's dead." And all the old men lived, but they're all just fucked. Like they went into the desert, and on day 1 of a day 3 thing, 75% of their water is gone. It's such easy math to know you got to turn around.
Yeah. Like it's more than that's a horrible amount. How do you not notice that? Like, hey, does everybody have their water? I only got a couple sips left. All right, forge ahead, boys. We're only 2,500 miles from the river.
They were so far away from the river, and apparently it was some like unusual heat wave there. So it was 112 degrees in the canyon.
Oof.
All
I
of
don't
those
know how the
stories
old
are
men
like
didn't
that.
die then.
But Woody, didn't you go
death.
on a pretty considerable hike? Through a trail or something with a friend?
Yeah, the John Muir Trail. I did it with a couple of friends.
How far is that?
We went, I think, 80 miles.
That's a serious hike. How many days?
7.
Okay.
No, we planned 7. I think we did it in 6 or 5.
Okay. Yeah. These people will end up, obviously they're doing death marches. It's like, let's get out of here. We're going to die. And they'll be doing 20 miles a day. And it's like, oh my God. And their feet are rotting off. Like they have not just blisters, but sometimes jungle fungus and like all sorts of nasty stuff going on. That's the part with me. I'm kind of a bitch about my feet. Once I get a blister or something, or like, I don't know if you've ever had like shoes that are rubbing the back.
Yeah, I had.
Center, like
one of the guys
tendon.
I was with was a fucking trooper. Like he had blisters on his feet that were as bad as any blisters you've seen in real life. They covered the entire back edge, like not just the back of his heel, but the back of his heel wrapping around. The bottom of his heel was blistered. And at the end of like at camp, he would just peel off more skin than I knew you had to spare.
Fuck.
And he never complained once.
What
he didn't
a man.
even mention that his feet
was
hurt.
he ex-military or something? Like who is this man? Is he like an accountant or something? What's his background?
He was PKA Dan's friend from childhood. Just a nice guy.
Dude.
Yeah.
I don't have that in me. Like growing up, we would work hard, but if I ever got blisters, I was like, well, I'm done. That's why I'm always so serious about. I always wear gloves with anything I do. That's like if I'm gonna do mechanic work or go under a house or anything, I'd always put leather gloves on. And Dad would even give me a hard time, like, get your gloves on, let's go. And then some jobs, it's like you're gonna get sucked in wearing those fucking gloves. This is not a glove job. Anything but a spinning thing, it's like, you know, I don't do that. But I was wearing my gloves the other day, operating a side grinder. My finger got sucked in, and it fucked the glove up, not me. And it was like, oh, thank God. Like the glove is all sanded down. I can see my finger through it, but I'm fine.
Yeah. Angle grinder is one where I'm not sure. You know, would you have maybe just glanced off it and not been hurt? but you got pulled in a little more. Or like you said, like I've also had it where like the last inch of my glove got pulled into a thing, but not my finger. You know, maybe it saved me.
Yeah.
But
I don't have the safety backing thing on the grinder. You know, it's just the wheel spinning.
I can't often reach what I'm trying to reach. Yeah.
So I think it's less likely to pull you in because there's nothing to like pinch you against. You know, you can't get pinched against that guard.
I watch videos somewhat like the ones you talked about, but they're aviation based. And it's always a cascade of mistakes. It's never like one thing went wrong and boom, now the guy's falling out of the sky.
Yeah.
It's like this thing happened, and then he reacted improperly to that, and then he reacted improperly to that, and by his fourth mistake, he had no more chances to correct it.
Yeah,
it same sort of thing.
It's always that. There's one where they're on like a pleasure cruise in a fairly large sail / it's got a motor, but it's a big sailboat, and it goes down in the night because they don't have charts for the place that they're in. They don't have the proper charts. They have charts for where they're going, but they don't have charts for the emergency stop that they need to make because they let the noob go up top and she got flung in the waves and her back hit the railing and she's fucked up. So as the boat's going down, the girl with the back injury holds onto the rigging and the mast or whatever as it's going down, gets tangled in it and gets gruesome cuts on her legs from the cabling. Then the good emergency bag gets lost to the sea. The thing that had like the radio, the transponder, the food, the water, the desalination, the sunscreen.
This sounds really helpful.
It's literally like God mode. Like, oh, we're good. Hey, they'll be right here. Hey, bring us some champagne because we're pretty happy. Like,
you know,
that, but
we've got so much peanut butter in this thing. You guys got jelly and bread?
Yeah, it was that, but they lose that, and now they're in a shitty dinghy, and they're being buffeted by waves. They're still in a storm, so they go under. They flip it upside down, and they go under. And the girl with the cuts, she's afraid. She's claustrophobic. She's not an ocean girl. They're interviewing the survivors, and there's like a bad bitch in the group. Like she's got her hair up in a very like, I don't know, athletic kind of way, and she can tell she's pretty, but like, I don't know. She's had a lot of sun in her life, you can tell. And she's just like, she was not a seaworthy woman or something like that.
Oh, yeah. I like it.
Like,
she looked down on the other woman.
She's like, I don't even know what she was doing up there to get flung into the railing. She should have been below deck as she was told. Like every step of the way, she's like talking about how one of the men got themselves killed. And she's like, we did the best we could. We told him not to drink the water. He drank the water. Then he saw a boat and then he started swimming. He swam until we didn't see him anymore. Then we heard him scream as the sharks ate him because the sharks are everywhere beneath the boat because of this woman's bleeding leg. At one point, the guy complained he's like, stop kicking my legs. And she's like, all right, I'm just going to look down and find his fucking legs so I don't bump him anymore. So she sticks her head underneath and she's like, it's a swarm of sharks.
Sharks just bumping their legs.
She's like, there are no less than 30 sharks beneath us.
And they still had their legs in the water?
Only 2 of them ended up living. The rest of them succumbed to their injuries or swam away. The woman and one guy ended up living.
Jesus Christ. That sounded like a really good one.
Being
out at sea would be the scariest place to be stranded. There's something very horrifying about the ocean to me. Like even Woody being like, oh, I just sometimes would swim until as far as I could. I'm like, why? Why would you do that?
Because I'm conquest focused.
I think you and I are in particular. So because we've been in the ocean water so much less than Woody. Maybe 1% of what he has would be generous.
Not even 1%.
There's no way it's 1%. There's no way there's no way it's 1% as much like time in the ocean.
It's a quarter of a percent.
So to me, it's a very scary place full of scary lassophobia like shit. You know, when I see that endless blue deep below you, and when I see like apex fucking predators that are in their element, and my dumbass cannot swim. Like I mean, I can stay afloat, but I ain't going nowhere. Okay. I'm not
you're not like winning any contests, and you're certainly not winning a contest against an animal that lives there.
Do you know why you can't drink salt water? Do you guys know why?
I think it takes more to process the salt out of your kidneys than you get from the water, right?
You're exactly right. I didn't know that until I was like older than you. You learned it faster than me. But yeah, I was like, I know you can't drink salt water, but it's water, and it's the only water available. Why isn't it better than nothing? And it's because like when you have too much salt, you need to drink water. the concentration of salt in this water is greater than the amount of water you get from it. So
it's like that old Simpsons where like they get stranded and Homer misremembers the line. He's like, yeah, remember the line? Water, water everywhere. Let's all have a drink. And no, Homer, no, stop.
Human kidneys can only
Flanders is like the pro, right? He's like, oh, don't worry, we've got our survival kit there with rations that'll feed us for a week.
Survival diddly diddly.
Homer's eating like a week's worth of everyone's food, and now he's got the fucking Swiss Army knife with every blade popped out on a dinghy, and he drops it, and it's bouncing with every pokey thing imaginable, and then the gag is it lands, and the magnifying glass melts a hole in the boat. I saw a guy break into it was in Hollywood, I think. I saw a guy break into a cop car in the middle of the day. He's like, he just doesn't care that there are people around witnessing him smash the windows of the cop car in. And then he reaches in and steals a laptop. And I expected him to take off running. He like nonchalantly like dusts it off and inspects it like, yeah, this'll do. And then like strolls away. Like he did not give a fuck.
Have you seen videos in San Francisco? Of the Best Buys, they started out running in and just stealing shit, and now they're getting carts before they go in. They're like taking the time to bring Santa Claus and carts, and then just steal shit, and then nonchalantly walk out because apparently we don't live in a real society.
I saw the guy come
where you can't just steal shit.
I saw the guy come in to a CVS, and he's on an electric bike, and he's got like a giant sack. I mean, like 40-gallon sack. And he gets every piece of cosmetics in the CVS, every lipstick and eyeliner, and like, those are like really expensive for the amount they weigh. And
yeah. $18.
Gets them all, and it's like, this like zips right out. They can't do anything. I saw a whole montage of them. Zach, I don't know if you can play the audio from that thing I just sent you, but that's a real 911 call that I feel like is just, I don't even know how to react to it. It's a real quick one though that I found on Reddit. I think, what is it? 30 seconds.
Oh, you sent it. I see on WhatsApp.
Yeah, I don't know if it's possible to play that here, just the audio maybe. The video's irrelevant. It's just like video to take up the space of video. It's not related to the audio, but it's a 911 call from a mother with some rowdy kids. After I heard it, I want to see what your take is, whether you think the mother making the call is a piece of shit or the 911 operator is a piece of shit. Because I can't decide. And I'm usually like, real quick, right down the middle, and I kind of take a side, but I couldn't on this one. I feel that they might both be assholes, but we'll see what you think.
What is your emergency?
Yes, I need a police officer over here at 7th Court.
What's going on?
I've got 2 teenage daughters, and I just got home from work. They were physically fighting with each other, and one of them kicked a hole in a door. And they're 12 and almost 14, and the 12-year-old is completely out of control. And I physically, if she's as big as I am, I can't control her.
Okay, did you want us to come over to shoot her? Are you there?
Excuse me?
That's a joke. Okay. So
who are you? What is your name?
Mike Forbes.
Mike Forbes, cool guy of the week, locked up. We haven't done that bit in a year, but cool guy of the week, Mike Forbes. Little golf clap for that guy. What, you want me to come over and fucking shoot your daughter, you dumb bitch? It's just the intonation of his voice in that is hilarious.
It would be funny if that weren't a likely outcome of calling them to respond to something like that. Like go to that police activity channel, and for the most part, the cops are in the right when they pull the trigger. I'll say that for sure. But you'll see so many where it's like there's no de-escalation. It's so easy to take steps backwards and just get out of there. Like there's an old lady with a knife that I watched. I've referenced it before because I've seen her die so many times. It keeps popping up on Reddit. And she's just so old and so out of it, holding this knife. And she's in the house, and he's in the garage, and he just has to take one backward step, and he's in the yard now. But he's just like, put it down, put it down. And it's like, dude, does she look like she's going to negotiate with you right now? She thinks fucking Kennedy's the president right now. She's
Right.
got 2 knives and she's being wacky with them. Like, you're not going to be able to negotiate. You need to take a step backwards, and we need to find somebody with a fucking net or something. You know, in the movies, that comical like net they throw over crazy people.
It's like a comical net, or maybe like the lasso with the stick, like they use on a dog's neck. You know,
Ooh,
the
that
canine
would be
patrol.
so effective.
Yeah.
I was thinking like I've seen they usually use it as like a prop in a jokey movie, but it's like one of those nets you would use for fishing, but it's person sized, and you like throw it over a crazy.
Did you see the footage lately of the cowboys who got the runaway cows on the highway?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. They could have handled this woman.
I like that so much. Like whenever I see a guy who can operate that fucking lasso, I think that's such a talent. Like,
I didn't know that was real life. How did they get
yeah.
the back legs? How did
he's flinging them at them, and like
it's amazing. I couldn't
really
hit the back
cool.
legs with a baseball while I was riding a horse, and he somehow captures them with the lasso. Why aren't the legs on the ground? I don't know how they do it.
he's
incredible.
like throwing a big loop that they end up like walking into and then cinching it up and catching a leg. And
You think they walk into it? They're not catching the leg while it's pointed in the back? I don't know.
I think they're usually catching the cow when it's like in motion. So I think they're just throwing like under it and like leading the target and hoping that it like, I don't know.
Okay.
I'd love to talk to a cowboy about something like this, right? We should get
I bet
somebody.
they're terrible at telling stories.
Oh, you got to find one of them storytelling cowboys.
Yeah, you do.
That plays the guitar and everything.
Ukulele.
Yeah. I would like that.
If you don't have any more cool survival tales, I wanted to ask you. So it's weird. You mentioned this like 2 months ago out of nowhere, where you're like, these fucking solicitors, they keep coming to my house, these solicitors. And I was like, that's weird. Like, I'm trying to remember the last time. And I was like thinking back, like, oh yeah, last summer, every once in a while, a bug person or a pest person would cold call you, or a gutter person, like, oh, you need our gutter guards. Like, those were like the 2 big people that would come and find you. Tree removal people.
Windows, vinyl siding.
I've never gotten a windows person. There's maybe
Lawn
one
care.
person last summer I got total. And in the past 2 weeks, I've gotten like 4 people, 5 people. And I am like, you were talking about how like, I just straight up told this guy to fuck off. I was getting irritated. And I always try to like I know what it's like to be in shitty jobs, and you're bothering someone or inconveniencing them. And like, so I don't want them to feel uncomfortable or bad or anything. And so I'm usually just like, I'm sorry. Like I want to save your time as much as mine. I'm not going to buy anything today. That I apologize for the inconvenience. Like, and then they just leave. But this guy today just like would not take no for an answer, to where like he kept to being like, yeah, pest, like, and he's like showing me pictures of all the pests they handle. And I'm like, that's great. I actually had a pest control problem last year, and I hired a termite company, and I have had 0 problems since they came, removed the termites, and then set up these traps outside my house. And he's like, what company did that? What brand? I'm like, you can read it on there if you want to bend down. I could not tell you. Like, but this is not a good time for me. I was in the middle of something. I'd been spending all morning on a project I needed done by early afternoon, and I needed that shit fucking done. And I was like,
used your
grooving
phone
on it.
Can you get rid of this guy? Click, click. See that shit?
You know what?
Yeah,
I've been having a real pest problem. Yeah. These guys show up around noon, knock on my door, even with the sign and everything, and they try to sell me services that I could have easily acquired on the internet.
Can you put like bear traps around here or something like that to get the traps?
If you could get up in that tower with a rifle, and if you see the fucking Orkin man coming, no warning shots. Take his knee out immediately if you see him. Dude, I got
Salesman comes
meltdown on
by
that fucking
selling-
Orkin man.
What the fuck?
No, I hear you, but you're stuck. There you are.
Yeah, you're fine. No, I had a
All my
fucking
monitors
meltdown.
just went black.
Oh, okay.
That's
okay,
cool.
I'm back now. Anyway, so the guy, I was talking to him, and I don't think I was like overtly rude, but after like the 4th no, I was like, dude, this is a bad time. And I just closed the door and went back to work, and he left. And like, I felt guilty about it, being like, man, that was like, I should have been nicer to that guy. But he was pushing me so much, and like, it was obviously not a good time. Like, he could like from
What'd
my
you say
front
to him?
window. I was like,
He said it's not a good
this
time.
this is really not a good time. This is a bad time right now. And I closed the door in his face.
Taylor, you're not even bad.
I
No.
But after
First
working
of all-
at Enterprise
first of all,
and getting
Woody-
treated like such
Woody's
dog
like-
shit, I'm very sensitive about it.
I didn't want to say this because this has come up a couple weeks in a row. Fuck, I'm gonna take shit for this. There was a
I'll back you no matter what.
There was a traveling steak salesman that passed not one, not two, but 3 no soliciting signs on the way to my front porch. And I had just moved into this house. This is like 6 years ago or something.
Mhm.
I was very excited about the lack of solicitors. I thought my driveway, which to me anyway, is enormous, right? Like it maybe in the scale of driveways,
It's considerable.
not that
It's a big
but
driveway. Yeah.
we don't get any trick-or-treaters, that's for fucking sure. But traveling salesman, I guess we get a couple. So the guy comes up the long freaking driveway and he wants to sell me steaks out of a cooler. And me today, maybe I listen, but at the time I was like, no, you're invading my palace. I just moved here. I thought this wasn't going to happen to me anymore. We were in my last place, like 2 blocks from like the big Mormon place.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And they were
Tabernacle.
constantly trying to get me to believe in this Mormon shit, like all time. And then if it wasn't the Mormons, it was all like the high school kids. Hey, here's my football team, here's whatever. And we gave to them, but I didn't like it. Anyway, this guy comes, and I might have said something exactly like, "Get the fuck out of here."
I was way worse to the Orkin man.
No, you're not going to take shit for that. That's
he was
3 no soliciting signs.
Yeah, and the guy was like, "What? What did you say?" And I looked him in the eye and I said, "Get the fuck out of here." I was like, "You passed 3 no soliciting signs. You know exactly what you did. You completely disregarded our wishes, and now here you are on my front doorstep trying to sell me something. Just go." And like he didn't want to go because I had made it like a manhood challenge or something.
I'll tell you how to fix that.
There were 2 of them,
And they were all beefed up on steaks.
They're
protein diet.
Eating nothing but red meat.
These 2 mountains barreling towards up my driveway.
But yeah, eventually, like I don't even know how I didn't back down, and I guess neither did they. But we managed to just separate, and it's like they're not making a sale here. And I could have handled it. I could have said no.
You could have gotten a gun.
I could have probably, yeah.
Fuck,
But
he winged one of those
probably
guys. I
have
tell you what,
guns.
he'll tell you wing the steak man. I guarantee he tells the fucking guy with the vinyl siding, the guy with the window tinting,
the
all those
vacuum
other
dude's never
cocksuckers.
coming around.
And guess what you forget about on your front porch when you get winged? The steaks.
They leave all that behind.
Oh,
It's
that's
like charcuterie.
you shoot one of them in the knee, and they go to like wheel their thing of steaks with. No. Leave the steak.
Is it worth your life, boy?
No,
And they're like, why do you
Orkin
start talking like
the
that?
Orkin man did the same exact shit to me, and like I don't like people knocking on my fucking door to begin with. So like I go out there and I'm like, what do you want? You know, like I see his fucking silly hat. You know, he's got that helmet on and shit. Like he's doing some real industrial shit, that Orkin man helmet. And I was like, what do you want? And he tries to shake my hand. I know he's the fucking Orkin man. I'm like, I refuse to shake his hand. And I'm like, I look back at the no soliciting signs and I'm just like, you walk right past all the signs. I was like, they say no soliciting. That means you. That means you. And he's like, yeah, your neighbors had signs too, but they said they had a lot of pests last spring. And he goes into this like thing about my neighbors and their pest problem.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't give a fuck about their problems. I was like, you need to leave. He's like, what? I was like, you need to leave. And he didn't leave quite quickly enough, I felt. I think it was the same thing Woody's describing. So I did this thing where I went, oh, you don't want to leave? I know how to fix this. And I like darted back into the house like I was going to get something. He fucking ran. I could hear his feet as I was like fake ducking back into the house. He pitter-pattered the fuck out of there. I didn't have anything to grab. Like there's nothing in there.
You could probably have a cattle prod just for situations like
Oh. I love the idea of like just to threaten him a little. If it made that.
that.
Yeah.
Or just start answering with like, okay.
Once you've been told to go, once you've been told to go once, you're trespassing. You know, you saw. I just watched that GIF again, or the whole video, whatever. The guy in Texas who's gets into the confrontation with the guy on his front step. He's like the stepdad, and the real dad has shown up to pick up his kid, and he was supposed to be, but they disagree on that point, the two men. And he's like, get the fuck off my porch. And the guy doesn't get off the porch. He goes in and he gets a gun, like a cool gun. It's like a pistol caliber rifle with a suppressor on it.
Sure.
And he's like, get the fuck out of here. And the guy says, I'll take that away from you and kill you with it. You do not want to say that. That is not a threat you want to make.
That's
on
like
camera.
probably legally what a threat is.
It's,
I am
it's
going
the
to
legal
take that from
definition.
you and kill you with it.
So he says those words, and then they
Can
get
you
into
sign something to that effect? Because this is going to help me even more in court.
Say it
then the
again.
guy gives him a warning shot, but it just goes thunk,
Gives him
into
an
the
old
porch.
boogie.
He gives him the old warning shot, and the guy tries to take the gun away from him. He wins the tussle for a gun and then double taps him dead right there on the front porch. And like the guy's like family is recording it, and her reaction is so weird. I don't think she knows what has just happened, even though the man's laying face down, like
The family of the
instant
man
dead.
in the house is videoing.
No,
There's a
family of the
person
man
in the
who
driveway
is
with a
invading the
camera.
house.
Okay. Thank
Like
you.
giving you like a front row seat to this whole thing. No charges for that guy, by the way. I loved going through the
not.
comments of that thing and them being like, I bet this guy's getting the chair, and I bet he spent good riddance to this guy, long time in prison. And then some like wonderful person just tells every one of them, nope, no charges pressed.
What retarded comment section is this on? Oh, Reddit.
Reddit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
Reddit.
checks out. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, I don't mean to like tell that story in a way that makes it seem like the dead man was in the wrong, because he was there to pick up his child and he had an appointment,
Oh.
Jesus.
so-
So it doesn't seem like that could have been handled better.
That's where I am on it. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think they're bad at de-escalation.
Room for improvement.
Better luck next time.
Yeah.
Oftentimes when you see these shootings, it's two people who aren't good at de-escalation. Two people who never said, you know what? Like even the guy who was found, justifiable homicide, they found him completely in the right, everything's cool. I bet if he could redo it, he'd be like, this was actually not my favorite way for it to go down.
Yeah, now he's got a stepson and he smoked the kid's dad. That's going to be awkward around Christmas time.
That's a strong point. He killed that kid. Oh, fuck.
Yeah,
He
last
killed-
Sunday. Hey, we just went through Father's Day. How do you think things were rolling over at that house?
Right?
Like, what'd you get him, a gun?
Yeah.
like that's the other thing.
Oh,
like,
he's not a part. Zach says he's not part. They left the stepdad. She divorced the stepdad. So
Oh.
apparently, killing your ex-husband makes you an ex-husband too.
Well, shit. Well, I'll say this: do not threaten people's lives, because that's a legal thing you're doing. You're things are going to a level you're not prepared for potentially. When you say I'm going to kill you, don't say that.
Yeah.
Don't say that.
You should have said, "Don't point that gun at me. Someone could get hurt."
That'd be a good thing to say. But don't tell anybody with a gun that you'll take it from them and kill them with it, because then they are well within their rights to shoot you when you try to then take it from them. No, that one was crazy.
Do you remember that video?
Which one?
Oh, I was going to say, do you remember that video? The two big fat shirtless guys like on a gravel driveway, and it was something, I looked it up. It was something about a mattress, and this guy was either trying to like throw away a mattress or box spring on some other guy's property or disputed property. And these two guys, like the big fat guy had like a shotgun on his back, and the other guy had a handgun, and they kill him.
Yeah, they killed him.
Yeah. I'm trying to find out what actually happened, if those guys went to
Wasn't
prison
that in
or
Georgia?
not.
It was a father and son, I think.
It was.
The two guys that were together, and then they were in one of those ridiculous arguments that you only see, frankly, in our country, where there's two drunk guys with their shirts off who both have guns, and they're arguing about like, get the fuck out of here, I'll shoot you. No, you get the fuck out of here, or I'll shoot you. And it's like, whoa. Maybe we should both put our guns down, gentlemen. Like maybe that's step one. So could we fight about this, please? like I don't know why they both have fucking guns and are like talking shit back and forth. And they basically talk shit until one of them pulls the trigger and kills the other one.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're talking.
Yeah,
shit
this
like
one
I
was
12
definitely
gauge anyway.
not at all justifiable. This one, it's just an argument where two people have guns and one guy doesn't, and it's not worth killing someone over a fucking mattress.
One guy just said, "Do it, pussy," too many times for his own good. Is what happened. I don't know why you're talking shit to a guy holding a shotgun. I would be so fucking terrified if somebody had a shotgun pointed at me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I just watched that video again. Jesus Christ. It's so wild how fragile we are. Like we can be like so robust in some ways with repairing ourselves and then in other ways it's like, oh, that guy was just like walking around like that. He probably had like a dinner plan or something he wanted, and then he got into a fight stupidly with these two maniacs with guns, and then he's just, it's over.
Oh,
just punch
I got
out.
a better one than that. I saw two guys pass each other on a sidewalk, right? And they bump shoulders. They turn around and one of them wants to talk shit. He goes to talk shit and make a thing of it, and the other one punches him. He falls over into the path of a bus and is immediately decapitated. Like, all he had to do was be like, we're good.
Excuse me.
Me.
Pardon
he
me.
turned around and wanted to make a thing of it, and the other guy shoves him or punches him, I don't remember which, and his head exploded under the tires of like a bus or some shit. It all happened so quick.
It's a quick death.
That fragility is crazy. Like and my head's on paramotor accidents. I have seen guys like fail to launch on picture a paramotor with wheels on it, and they're trying to take off, and the thing just tumbles and yard sails with pieces of prop and netting and cage and who knows what, just flying everywhere with scattered debris behind him. And the pilot gets up and he's 100% fine. I have seen other guys take a hard landing and their butt just kind of scooch hits it. And now they're fighting to walk again. And it like didn't even look that bad. I know a guy on a motorcycle. Someone made a left-hand turn in front of him, and he went like over the car. So imagine him going over the hood kind of feet first somehow. I don't know. And he landed on his butt. And that guy's mostly paralyzed from the waist down too.
Have you seen the guy? He's parachuting. He's landing. I don't know what he's landing in a parachute. I don't know what happened before then. But he's sort of like pulling down the toggles and like scooting his butt up to sort of like get his legs kind of straight out to like sort of slide in.
Sure.
And there's like these little man-made ponds almost that seem like they'd be good to skid into, but he skids right at the end of one where there's like an embankment, and you can see from his GoPro his legs compound fracture as they hit it. And it's one of those things. Like when I'm on Reddit, I'm just like watching GIFs. Like it could be anything from like a mom making pie for her kids to what I just described. So I'm usually real quick to like, nope, I don't want to see anyone get burned alive and like fix that. But like I didn't know what was going to happen. It was like, oh, I bet he's going to do that like skid across the water thing. Right.
You see people who do it really well.
He fucking blew both of his legs up. They like you saw like red meat and bone just bow out of both of them. And I was just like, no.
Paramotor pilots do that too. So that the speed of a canopy like that, whether it be a paraglider or a parachute, is fixed. They always go the same speed, pretty much. But if you go down, you can temporarily increase your speed. So they kind of dive at the ground, level out, and then they can go extra far with that extra speed that they call energy. You're playing chicken with the ground, hoping to turn it just the right time. A lot of my friends are really good at it. I'm not. It's not a skill I've ever worked on. This is my safety like philosophy. I do boring launches, boring landings, exciting flights.
Very smart.
That's my thing. But the launch and landing, it should be very boring and just like I meant it to be. But swoop landings look fun.
See you later.
Speaking of Texas, you see they're talking about seceding again down there.
I don't think that conversation ever stops, does it?
I think they've taken a step.
I feel like there's always a few politicians in Texas talking about wanting to do their own thing.
It passed.
So what's
I
that
don't
mean?
know what it fucking passed, but like I think it passed the House, like the Texas House. I don't know what that even means. Let me see. Zach just linked something.
I think it means they're like 2 steps away, or maybe even one.
Says,
there is no way the U.S. would let Texas secede. It's too big of an industry center.
I'm sure you're right. Like,
there'd be a civil war, but what we're talking about is what happens before that, which is where we are now.
Yes, the
pre-Civil War. And here's the best. What if a couple other states pull away too?
What other ones would? It would have to be like attached to Texas, right? Because
what if it was one you like completely different, like came out of nowhere, like California wanted to leave as well.
They were talking about that in like 2016 when Trump won, but it was more of like people online, nothing serious. So
let me Under a section titled State Sovereignty, the platform states, pursuant to Article 1, Section 1 of the Texas Constitution, the federal government has impaired our right of local self-government. Therefore, federally mandated legislation that infringes upon the 10th Amendment rights of Texas shall be ignored, opposed, refused, and nullified. So they want to secede. And I thought I read it past something. Maybe it just passed a committee or something. But like it has the votes. And is the Senate more sober? Sometimes in American federal politics, the House will pass any fucking nonsense because they're a bunch of yahoos representing a small area. But the senators, they tend to represent it. Well, they always represent entire states. So they're a little more sober in their voting than like.
How do they decide who gets which side of the state? You know, they flip a coin?
Which
I think they have to share it. Yeah.
No. Like who gets the left side and the right?
I don't know. You stumped me. But yeah, I'm not sure. Like, what happens if Texas? It is possible to me that Texas has enough fucking yahoos in their state government to vote to secede. If they do, what now? What does the governor do? Like, they can't go.
There's no way they'll like all the people who would vote for that kind of thing to pass are going to be getting a call from someone, and there's no way. There is
call from who? Like
someone in the FBI?
Or the FBI of the United States. Well, you better check in with the Texas Border Patrol before you come onto our territory. I don't know why I'm old timey Southern now.
I see. I don't know where this bit's going.
But no, that would be the attitude. Be like, oh, the FBI called you from the United States. Well, they have no jurisdiction here in Texas.
That would be so fun. Well, no, they would call beforehand, but yeah. I don't know. That would be wild to see. At this point, I wouldn't put anything past anything. Like there's been a million life-changing, like once in a lifetime things in the past 6 years.
Look, we fucking diverted away from the prime timeline. We are that ball that split off and went to the right instead of the left. We are not on the prime timeline anymore. Anything's up for grabs. I think China invades Taiwan or whatever the fuck any fucking day now. I don't see why I don't know what they're waiting on.
The January 6th committee has my attention. And someone said something on the news today that made me look at it in a different way. All right, so here's the deal. Everyone knows people don't vote for president. People vote for electors. Those electors vote for president, right? That's at the Electoral College. Cool. Mm-hmm. Elector is a real job. It is a job you get from the federal government. It's like a thing that like you can't just declare yourself an elector. It'd be like declaring yourself a senator. Like, oh, are you voting on whatever, the budget? Well, I'm a senator now. They're like, no, you dickface. Like, you're not a senator. That's a real job. Like, we already know who the senators are. You can't just say that you're one. But that was the Trump plan. Trump was like, we're going to put an alternative slate of electors on there. And I was like, these are just regular fucking yahoos. That would be akin to Trump saying we're going to put an alternative slate of senators to vote on this bill. Like, no, you can't do that. That's like kind of a coup. This was on January 6th. He wanted to have a different set of electors. Yeah, that was his plan.
How do you become an elector? Who makes you an electman?
I don't know the hiring process for an elector, but I can tell you that they're chosen in advance to do the job.
I hear the Clintons pick them.
I mean, I imagine whoever picks them, it's fucking shady. Everything's shady.
I don't know.
I don't know anything about that, but I'll
vote the way that they're supposed to. So they must be a little nonpartisan and they just obey the will of the voters, right? Mm-hmm. They can't be total jackasses.
Seems like the least partisan part of the process because they kind of just do what they're told.
Thank you. Right. But Trump was like, hey, I know we have electors chosen and hired to do this stupid little ceremony thing, but I'm going to bring in my own electors that don't obey the will of the people that are loyal to me. And it's like, whoa, you can't just do that. You can't just like replace the senators with your own batch. And that was what he was doing. And it's like, that's fucking
state
coup shit.
I think that he was just clearly trying to send it back to the states because they had fraudulently, misdiagnosed the situation. At least that's what the emails that I've been sent from the Trump campaign would allege.
I'll say this.
I didn't. So when it happened, I watched the news. I saw it happen, but I really didn't think it was as bad as everyone was making it out to be. I thought that when they were talking about insurrection and a coup, that they were blowing things out of proportion, as news medias want to do on both sides all the time. It's always the end of the fucking world. Like the only time it's been true is this last time with the pandemic, but most of the time it's crying wolf.
It was a big deal to me. I'm sorry, finish.
Yeah. So I watched like a 20-minute video on Reddit, and it was so much stuff that I had never seen before. And there's a part where, like, I don't think it's the Proud Boys, it's some other like militant type group, but like you can see them, like something like that. But you can see them when they start moving through the crowd. Like they've all got their right hand on the guy in front of their right shoulder. They're all wearing matching tactical gear, and it's like good shit. And they're moving through that crowd like a snake. And it's like, oh shit, I think these boys have a fucking mission. And
do they get in?
Yes, everybody got in. Anyone who wanted in could get in. And I mean, like, they ended up being, I don't know if it was 40 feet or 40 meters that's left me from Pence, from like from them escaping. Pence is like underneath in a fucking catacomb for a lot of it. And they want him to get in the car. And he's like, if I get in that car, you're going to leave. He's like, no, sir, I work for you. He's like, you work for me, but you're not driving the car. If I get in that car, you're going to take me out of the Capitol, and I will not let the American people see me like driven from the Capitol. They will not see that happen to the vice president. I'm going to stay here and certify this. And he stayed down there like with flashlights in the photos that I've seen, and did the paperwork and before they left.
Yeah. That would have been horrible optics for him to get chased out.
Like they're chanting for Nancy Pelosi, and like I saw a Maga Karen. I'll call her a Maga Karen, but and she was going 1-on-3 with the Capitol Police and winning because every time they sort of reached toward her to push, she was indignant. How dare you touch me? But then she fucking like
speak to the manager.
No, she like come for them and like, get back away from me. I'm getting in there. I'm after Pelosi. And then they're like, ma'am, stay back. And she's like, how dare you move aggressively toward me, you piece of shit. And she's like backing them down. And she's got like so many like MAGA boys behind her that they're just pushing. And you can see them they're on the radios. They're like, we need more men. We need more men. And they're having a club fight with these people. Like the cop has a shield and a club, but these people don't mind taking a clubbing or two. They close the distance, they grab the club, and then their buddy comes in and helps them, and they wrest it away from the guy and push him on his ass because he's wearing so much gear. And now his buddies are like, get John, because John's turtled up, and the MAGA boys are throwing him a vicious beating.
Jesus Christ.
I had never seen any of that. And I'm saying that like
I haven't seen that either.
But what it was is I was blown away that I didn't know that any of that had fucking happened because I just never seen it. They never showed that shit on CNN. It's not like I was watching Fox News with my head up
I see a lot of the same footage. That cop getting squished in the door, screaming in pain. It seems like maybe over exaggerating the pain, right? Like I see that all the time.
I think I got lost an eye though.
You know, you made a lot of noise for one eye.
I've never heard the eye
There's
thing.
a cop. He's got brown hair. He looks like he's maybe 28 or so. And he was like, it seemed like they were closing a door on him. I could be wrong on that. And he was just crying in pain and begging for mercy. And he wasn't getting any from the MAGA crowd.
Yeah. I saw varying degrees of violence. Sometimes it seemed like a party environment.
Yep.
Guys who were not violent. They were like partiers, like woohoo!
That's what they showed like as it was happening. Like those are the videos they were where it was like that was the video where like the doors opened and like a bunch of people went in like it was a frat party.
And they were
the
velvet
like,
lines.
"Oh, we're gonna obey the velvet lines." And other people were like, "I'm gonna go put my feet on a desk. I'm gonna lift this thing up. I'm gonna make a silly face on camera." And then like
that's what it looked like. But they should have
showed
they're wearing those costumes stuff, and I didn't take them seriously at all. And I remember like the line that maybe the news media took was like, "Can you believe that they stepped foot on this hallowed ground or whatever?" And I was like, I hope shit. I don't care about your hallowed fucking like that. That's not mine.
I don't.
The fact that they wouldn't they're not going to let me tour that fucking building and see the beautiful architecture. That's for some special people. Clearly,
there's I'm trying to remember the guy's name. One of the members of the House Representative gave some of the leaders of the
that's
MAGA
just poor
riot.
Framing, by the way.
Gave some of the leaders of the MAGA riot a tour ahead of time. And you think, well, I mean, how damning is that really? The guy's taking pictures of shit that a tourist wouldn't typically be interested in, where the security centers are, how the hallways are. These were not like pictures and like how this was like behind the scenes, how to get to different places.
Why'd they do that?
They were there to kill.
That they were there
to kill Nancy Pelosi and Mike Pence.
No,
So
maybe
The
a
FBI's
misunderstanding.
confidential informant that told them that they were there to kill Mike Pence. If they could have gotten him, they'd have killed him.
Oh, I believe
So
that.
the House representative person gave tours to leaders of the insurrection, and they were taking pictures, and it's caught on security camera, of things that tourists wouldn't be interested in. They were planning the attack the next day with the aid of a House of Representative member.
That makes more sense. I thought you meant like they went on the little White House tour and they were taking photos. I'm like, I can't imagine they're walking you next to the football. But yeah, so someone like a MAGA guy basically brought them in prior and walked them around and like secretly.
Yeah. Well, a member of House of Representatives. So this is like a Republican, a federally elected, gave tours to leaders so that they could better plan their insurrection the next day. And these guys are taking pictures of like security stations.
What happened to that guy?
Like that. It's only recently been exposed. I heard about it like today or yesterday.
It always takes so much more time for stuff to come out. Or not always, but sometimes it does where it's like, all right, I got a good handle on this. And then 3 years later, something comes out and you're like, oh, no, 100% wrong on that.
And as far as those gallows go, they keep showing the picture of those gallows there, like making it out like that's such a big deal. How many effigies of Trump did we watch burn? How many times have I seen him get like remember that was the thing that Kathy Griffin had is like the decapitated head in that video.
His decapitated head.
That was
I didn't see many effigies of Trump, but I saw lots and lots of
so many pinatas.
Stuff. Pinatas is a better one. And there was like an inflatable balloon that seemed to follow him around.
I saw him get hung a lot. He's very easy to caricature.
I saw the hangings a couple times. I saw a couple like built like statues, not a good statue, obviously, that burned.
Ugly, like embarrassing statues. I saw one with a very tiny penis in New York that was pretty
lots
hilarious.
of that.
The city was like, hey, we can't have any erections of statues, no matter how small. You have to take it down. It was pretty funny.
Did you?
Don't put statues of naked people around.
Have you guys seen fucking Barron Trump lately?
That kid is enormous.
Okay,
or not? Is he a kid anymore?
He grew way more. He grew so much that before you show him the picture, Zach, and please find like the most recent one, he looks like two kids in a big coat.
It's getting
like
ridiculous.
And he's sneak into a cocktail party to like save the world or something.
Dude, that kid's like 6'8", and he's still got the body of a guy who's got a lot of growing to do. It looks Photoshop. He's like Slender Man.
This is the one I'm seeing. He's not super handsome in this one.
He's going to Duke.
Oh, wait. I didn't read the fact checking. Is it real? It's true. It's true. He's just that huge.
Yeah.
He's just an enormously tall guy.
He's absurd looking. That's
at 16. Like he's going to be playing college.
Wait, he's
college ball
now.
It says that the rarely photographed youngest son of former President Donald Trump is already 6 feet 7 inches tall, even though he just turned 15. This is from a year ago, and so I assume he's probably 6'9".
Look at the hair. Look at the hair. Don't you just love that he's chosen to go with his dad's hair, dude? like what the fuck are you thinking, dude? Hey, look at him with the thumbs up and the fucking ill-fitting suit and everything. Like what are you doing?
Dude, if Trump is my dad and I watched him be like a superstar in everything he tried and then become president, I'm like, all right, he looks like a goober, but there's something to the formula. Thumbs up, hair terrible, 6'10". Like
Is he grabbing that woman's tit?
No, he's so far from that right hand, he doesn't know what it's touching.
What are you talking about? He's grabbing her titty. He literally has his hand on her titty.
It's on top of the...
He certainly does not have his hand on her titty. You're ridiculous.
Are you kidding me? Fucking zoom in. Show them that his man is right on her titty.
How old do you think this woman is? Her tit is near the bottom of that fucking...
her tit is next to her belly button. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Slandering this gentleman.
She's literally pushing his hand away.
She's hugging the hand towards him, you retard.
She's pushing his hand away, and he's clearly about to like stick that thumb in her eye.
And that giant thumb's gonna punch right through those glasses.
God, he's so enormous it doesn't look real.
Yeah. He's gonna, unless he's the least athletic man on earth, he's got to go somewhere for athleticism.
I saw a video of I saw a video on Reddit the other day of a kid like getting a puppy or some shit. But anyway, he like ran to get the puppy, and it was like the most embarrassing run I'd ever seen. And so I went to the comment section to see if anybody else was awful like me, and they noticed this kid ran like really fucking weird and stuff. And he's not, don't misunderstand, he doesn't have like there's nothing wrong with him. He just runs like a fucking girl, you know what I mean? He doesn't know how to run. And I hit, controversial comments filtering. Sure enough, everybody. The dad should have taught him to run instead of getting him a fucking dog. Let's get him some running classes so he doesn't look like such a dweeb.
Hey, sometimes that happens, and you run like a dweeb, and you grow out of it.
It was like a little hop, skippy, jump, leaning thing. It was real bad.
How old was he?
I don't know.
Probably 5, 6.
Somewhere between 12 and 5. I can't really tell. Yeah, it's like how much does that cow weigh? Fuck, I don't know, 500 to 1,000 pounds.
My friends who aren't around kids at all, I've just like picked it up because a few years ago, before a lot of my friends had kids, I didn't see him as much. Like I would see a kid and I'd be like, that kid could be 4, or he could be a small 8-year-old. I don't know. What stage is that? And now I'm like more locked in. But Kyle, you're still at that, like you see like an 8-year-old and you're like, is that a toddler?
When I see kids,
preteen,
like I don't like seeing kids places. I try not to go places where kids are even allowed. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
just adult bookstores for me.
Yeah,
adult bookstores.
I hang out at God, I can't remember the name of the last one I was at. It had a silly name.
Mickey's Mouse, because it attracts the pussy.
No, it was something about lions or something. The Lion's Den or some shit. I don't know.
Ooh, that's hardcore.
Yeah.